What's up guys, it's XRAYZ and welcome to Behind the Horror, episode 3. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Numa horror. Numa was the third map to come out in Call of Duty World at War, and it's possibly one of the creepiest ones to date. Numa technically means haunted swamp, and that's literally what it is. On the map we find ourselves with 4 new characters. It's no longer the Marines that we were accustomed to in the first 2 maps, but instead we had 4 unique characters: Tank Dempsey, Nikolai, Takiao, and Richtofen. We would eventually learn more about each one of these characters, progressing through their lives and unraveling more about these zombies' story. But Numa is one of the creepiest maps because of its atmosphere and the place that it's at. Numa is probably one of the most unpredictable maps in Call of Duty Zombies. The reason it's so unpredictable is because you constantly have changing factors, whether it's the fact that the perk machines are moving around to different locations, or if it's the fact that the mystery box always disappears to random locations. Numa was one of the maps that you couldn't quite get a grasp on. You couldn't really have a strategy. It was always constantly evolving, and it was the first zombie map to do this. Numa was the first zombie map to be based completely on its own. Although it did have elements of the multiplayer maps Mackin and Knee Deep, it was in a sense the very first map catered directly to the story itself. Now as you play the map, you learn more about the story and you get more knowledge about who they are and where they came from, why they're even together. And we start to realize that something creepy, something evil happened. Now as you do play as the 4 characters, you not only learn about them, but you also start to learn about the map itself. You start to unravel the creepy and haunted story that happened within this map. We start to learn that this place wasn't just a map to hide away from the zombies, but that it was a map where someone else was there as well. Someone familiar who knew who Tank Dempsey was. We learn about the person known as Peter McCain. Peter McCain was sent in to spy on Group 935 and learn more about their illegal experimentations. Experimentations being done with an element that they named themselves as Element 115. Getting back to Peter McCain, we learn that Peter McCain was actually sent in to infiltrate Group 935 and was actually discovered. They found out that he was someone who was sent in to spy on them. Peter McCain, fearing for his life, ended up going to the Rising Sun facility, which we know as Numa. While at Numa, Imperial soldiers descended from the top in parachutes at night and ended up killing the entire platoon. It's the reason that you see these parachutes that are around the map. Now, while everyone else was killed in his platoon, Peter McCain was the only one that was dragged out and tortured. The reason that we see that his hand was cut off was because of part of the torture that he had to endure. They were trying to get information out of him. Upon extracting information from Peter McCain, they ended up hanging him. You see this the very first time that you appear in the map. You see a hanging body, and you don't really know who it is. Eventually you learn that it is in fact Peter McCain. One of the creepiest things about Numa is the fact that you are surviving against zombies in one of the creepiest locations you could possibly be, a swamp. If you normally go to a swamp, you're pretty scared. You're scared of getting into the water. You don't know if there's anything in the water that could be contagious, that could hurt you if you start taking in too much of that water. You don't know if there's alligators. You don't know if there's any kind of weird creatures or snakes. So swamps, in a sense, is something that you're constantly looking around trying to be as visual as possible because you're scared that something is going to come out and get you. And in a sense, it's one of the creepiest places to be in. Numa is set during the afternoon, so in a sense, you're surviving and trying to play against time. You don't know when it's going to get dark. You don't know when you're going to find yourself in a situation where you have to stop and analyze. And Numa was exactly that. It was in the afternoon. It was when everything was starting to turn into its darkest hour, and out of the ground you start to see zombies trying to attack you. So now you're not only trying to survive in a swamp, in a dangerous environment, but you're also trying to survive against these zombies that are trying to kill you. With that said, let's talk about one of the creepiest locations when it comes to forests and swamps. His creepy location is found in Mount Fuji, Japan, and it's called the Aokigahara Forest. The Aokigahara Forest bordering Mount Fuji is also known as Death Forest, Suicide Forest, or Sea of Trees. Every year around 30 people go there to commit suicide, and around 500 have died there since the 1950s. A few Japanese books describing the forest as the perfect place to die have contributed greatly to the problem. It is not uncommon if you visit the forest to find bodies hanging from trees and skeletons on the ground. But Aokigahara Forest has been a place where people go die for much longer than just half a century. In lean years gone by, impoverished local inhabitants would bring those that could not feed themselves to the forest to die. The elderly and infirm, the young and disturbed would die long, drawn-out demises, starving to death, their unheeded cries stifled by the notorious denseness of the trees. Paranormal phenomena have been reported by many local residents as well as visitors. Many even consider Aokigahara Forest as Japan's most haunted spot. Aokigahara is considered the most haunted location in all of Japan. The unsettled ghosts of Japan who have been torn unnaturally soon from their lives and who howl their suffering on the winds. Spiritualists say that these trees themselves are filled with malevolent energies accumulated from centuries of suicides. They don't want you to go back. A man who visited this ancient and haunted forest with his girlfriend had this to say: "I was looking for a thrill and wanted to hike, so we went into Aokigahara the day after. And boy oh boy, it was the creepiest place ever." At this point my girlfriend felt very uncomfortable and wanted to leave, so we backtracked, and that's when we stumbled on some bones. I freaked out. It was still wearing decaying jeans and Nikes. I started running. The more we ran, the more the forest seemed to envelop us. I started freaking out some more, thinking paranoid thoughts about how we might die in this forest. We ran around desperately. I started to see things. No straight up ghost apparitions, but a few times I could have sworn I saw somebody standing next to a tree, but when I looked back there was nothing. Anyways guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Behind the Horror. If you did, remember to slap a like and a favorite on this video. It helps the channel grow and it gets the video out there for more zombie enthusiasts. If we can get this video to 1,500 likes, that would be insane, and I'll start working on Behind the Horror episode 4, XRAYZ, once this video hits 1,500 likes. So slap a like to help the channel, and of course to see the next episode of Behind the Horror. The last thing I want to mention is if you guys enjoy zombie content and you enjoy the series that I've been bringing and you're new, then remember to subscribe. I do upload these every single Saturday, so make sure you subscribe so you won't miss a single episode. Anyways guys, until next time, I'm XRAYZ and I'm out. Peace.